Have you heard of the Witch of Pungo, located in Virginia Beach, Virginia? This one had a trial and everything, and even a legend that follows it. Now, Grace White Sherwood was the last person to ever be convicted of witchcraft in the state of Virginia. She was born in 1660, right in Pungo. In truth, she was a farmer, a midwife, and a healer. She was known to be great at herbal remedies, and she was also known as a local witch. This woman was accused of all kinds of things under the sun by her neighbors. She was accused of damaging their crops or putting a spell on them so they wouldn't grow, casting spells on the livestock so they'd pass away. She was also seen transforming into a cat. And on top of that, she was said to cause miscarriages. Well, you see, Grace was the typical settler woman. She married around 20 years old, which might have been kind of old back in those days, but she married a man named James back in 1680, and she had 3 sons. And in 1697 is when all hell broke loose, because that's when a neighbor accused old Grace of cursing their bull. And that accusation is that Grace done took that bull's soul, causing its demise. Well, apparently, they took it to court, and Grace and the neighbor both agreed to dismiss it. Well, just like it does, she started getting a reputation as a witch, and just when anything started going wrong, everybody just started blaming Grace. Well, her 2 neighbors done stepped up in 1698 and said, you know what? We're going to get Grace because she has doomed our corn crops. And one neighbor was like, yeah, she got your corn crops. Well, she's bewitched my hogs. Well, Grace was over it. She's like, I cannot get over this reputation, but I'm going to take them to court and I'm going to get them for slander. So that's what she did. She took them to court. They had a trial and she lost her trial. And guess who had to eat the cost? Her poor planter husband. Planter was his job occupation. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. Grace took another hit in 1701 when she lost her husband James, and she was left his property and the farm. Well, here we go again in 1706. Grace was accused again of being a witch for transforming into a cat and miscarriages and so on and so forth, and this one went to trial. And it went so far of her trying to plead her innocence that she was not a witch that they said, you know what, hold up right there, Grace. What we're going to do here is called ducking, honey, and we're going to take you down to the water in the bay, and we're going to throw you in the water. If you float, then you're a witch. But if you sink, well, honey, you're innocent. So they took old Grace down there and threw her in the water. And guess what? She floated, which is typical because you're going to hold your breath. And what is in your lungs? Air. So, guess what? She went to prison for 8 years, and she was freed in 1714. And when they freed her, she had to go back and get her husband's property and her farm. So there she was, back in court. I would like to add here that in Virginia, they did not have too many witch trials. They actually got thrown out. It wasn't like Salem, Massachusetts, where the mass hysteria. It was very rare that they actually took a witch trial. After everything that Grace went through, she did not remarry. She stayed on her farm until the day she passed away, when she was roughly around 80 years old in 1740. On the 300th anniversary of her conviction, on July 10th of 2006, Tim Kaine, which was the governor at the time, gave her an informal pardon, and they erected this beautiful statue of Grace White Shelton, with a raccoon representing the love of her animals, her love for animals that she had, and holding all the herbs and herbal remedies that she loved so much as well. Now, there's a legend that does go with this. On the anniversary of Grace's ducking, a light is said to appear and float through Witch Duck Bay. And that light is said to be Grace herself returning to the spot where she was just thrown into the water to plead her innocence. Do you have a local witch story? Well, I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. If you like witches and you like this story as well, you know what to do. And don't forget to follow me for more paranormal stories.